Welcome to Films and Stuff with your hosts, Pete Mitchell and Ethan Hunt.
Hi, Pete. Welcome back. Films and Stuff.
Hi, Ethan.
How's everything today?
Everything's great. How about you?
I like the excitement in your voice. That must mean we've got a great episode ahead. Tell us, what are we talking about?
Oh,
Winning Time. HBO's Winning Time, episode 6. Los Angeles Lakers taking it to a new level. Do you want to summarize this quickly for us?
Sure. Let's do our quick 60-second-ish summary.
All right.
So we have two subplots, really. And the first subplot is we look at the aftermath of McKinney's bike accident.
Yes.
Right? So we see that McKinney is out for the count. He's been hurt really badly for a bicycle accident. Badly for a bicycle accident.
Yeah. That didn't involve a car, by the way.
No, not at all. Right? So I was a bit shocked by that. They were quite graphic about what they had to do to him to kind of get him back.
Yeah.
And in doing so, Paul Westhead, played by Jason Segel, takes over.
Mm-hmm. And
he is a total mess.
Yeah.
Right? He has to inform the media, he has to inform the team, and he has to, run the operations on court. And things kind of, at least for the most of this episode, he's on the back foot. He looks like he's really struggling.
Yeah.
Then the second subplot is really, now we pivot back to Magic Johnson, and I think this is where things are going to get a little bit more exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And we see that Magic Johnson is starting to take control of his life, not just in terms of his finances, but also in terms of his managing his celebrity, right?
Right.
And his life around that. You see a little bit of conflict in his personal life with his business manager's daughter. They're in a relationship of sorts, and, she's overstepping her bounds potentially. Simultaneously, he has to make decisions on things like endorsements with sneaker companies. He makes a massive mistake, which we'll talk about. And then the last thing is not really a subplot per se, but we kind of touched upon it, is you start to see, we talked about it in other episodes, you start to see the other side of Dr. Buss, which is his personal life. And, he seems like a duck, calm and collected on the water, but his feet paddling furiously below the water, right?
Oh, such a good analogy. So
you learn that his mom is potentially not doing very well mentally.
Sally Field.
He's teetering. He's able to successfully bluff out of a loan agreement or into extending a loan agreement with Great Western Bank.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of it in terms of the episode overall.
Okay. So I think the last time we gave this rating, when we did a recap of episodes 4 and 5, I still had this as a subscribe to HBO Max. I think you were at a mooch. Has that changed?
I was at a mooch, but I was on an upward trajectory toward subscribe.
Mooch Plus. Got it?
Oh, yeah. As Mooch Plus, our new subscription-only platform.
So where are you? You're still at the same place? Are you inching towards a subscription?
I'm inching forward more and more because I think now we're going to get into the more...
You're reading the terms and conditions. You're reading the terms and conditions of the...
I'm halfway through the fine print.
Yeah.
And I think that by the end of the next episode, I'm probably going to be into a subscribe. I have a sneaking suspicion that it's going to be the next episode that does it for me. Only because I'm expecting Pat Riley to make a major play into the coaching aspect. And I'm expecting also more of a look at the team as, a team of basketball players.
Yeah.
And I like the nitty-gritty of, when it comes to sports biopics, I really like the nitty-gritty of like the off-court related.
We want to see, I
stuff.
Totally agree. That is such a good point, which is we know what happened. What we want to see is the nuts and bolts of how it happened, right? And that's such a good point. And maybe that's why I like this show so much. Is that it's not so much the plot and what's happening. It's the behind the scenes of, like, I knew that Paul Westhead became the coach, right? Okay. And you can read online that there was, Jack McKinney was hospitalized because of a biking accident. And it's nice to kind of see that transition, whether or not it's historically accurate or not. It's nice to see that transition and kind of understand that this guy was not really ready, either in terms of experience or like his emotional state of mind, or just, to be honest, his personality. He was not ready to be a coach of any team, much less a professional team, much less a Los Angeles Lakers team, right?
Right.
I mean, he's really a little bit kind of pathetic. And you just want to say, like, dude, come on, like, pull it together. I mean, like, it's not like they just picked you off the street to be a coach. You were the assistant coach, like, you should have a little bit more of a sense of readiness for this, right? And I don't
know anything about Paul Westhead, but I can't, if this is a little bit more on the dramatization side, then it's a little bit of them doing a bit of disservice, right? Because ultimately, he did lead them to a championship.
Yeah.
And for 2 years, they were leading the league. So,
Yeah.
It just seems like he seems like this really super meek character who doesn't really know what he's doing, who was an English teacher who stumbled and bumbled his way into being a coach for the Lakers, right?
Yeah, they do. I mean, we've used this euphemism before. They throw him under the bus, right? But I mean, they do a little bit, minimize him. On the other hand, after episodes of us kind of feeling that Jerry West was their whipping boy, who they really, marginalized, Jerry West has kind of, in the last 2 episodes, been, he's been, what would I say, projected, or he's been, represented. I don't know what the right word is. He's kind of taken a much more mature role, right? Which is talking to Paul Westhead and saying, hey, you got to step up. Like, this is how you deal with it. You should do this. Talk to the media. Don't make promises. Don't say things that are going to be bad for you. Like, he starts to be kind of the elder statesman. And I think that, his performance in these past 2 episodes has been quite good and rehabilitated a little bit some of the negative way he was, projected in earlier episodes.
Yeah, I think you see him also now kind of as that quote unquote, and he's not, by the way, but I mean, he's portrayed now as like, hey, I'm not that bumbling fool that's a womanizer. I'm also a cutthroat business guy.
Yeah.
Right. And this is how you do cutthroat business, which is to say, hey, I'm going to take Great Western to the streets and I will fight with them. And I will say, hey, I've given up my team.
Yeah.
So to my wife, so if you take me to the cleaners, well, feel free to. I've got a couple bucks on me, and that's all you're really going to get out of this.
Yeah.
Right?
So in terms of talking about McKinney, talking about Paul Westhead, I hope that's the end of this storyline for a while. Like, I would hope that the next episode, we don't have any more hospital scenes. There's maybe a line about, McKinney is now back home recovering. We see, Coach Westhead, starting to get a little bit more comfortable. Maybe he's still a little bit green, but I don't want this to be kind of the dominant storyline. I think we've kind of moved past that. I don't know what the next storyline is going to be, but I think 1 episode is really enough for that. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think now, like I was hoping, I think now what we're going to see is a transition from Westhead floundering on his own to Westhead kind of relying on Riley to be the, to create a foundation for a good coaching staff.
Yes.
And again, I don't know if they're going to do a season 2 or 3. This could also potentially be a chance to see where Riley starts to kind of, I'm not going to say undermine, because maybe that's not what he actually did.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe he did. We'll never know, right? Of course, in the media, it would be very, very nice and easy to say that, Riley had his own plans on getting out of the commentating booth and into the coaching seat. And which, of course, that's exactly what happened. And maybe it was not so calculated. Maybe it was calculated. We don't know. But I imagine that because it's a dramatization and because, of course, it'll be more exciting if there is not a villain, but if there is a slight antagonist.
Yeah.
I imagine that the next episode or the next couple episodes are going to be the ones where you see Riley step up as the coach behind the scenes, you know, like he's the assistant coach.
He's
but
the confidant of some of the players.
He's the confidant of the players. And he's the one who, after practice is over, the players come to for advice. And he's the one, you know what I mean? Like
developing the strategy.
The seeds of discord.
I agree.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't know the story, but I think you're right about this. And again, I don't know if it was intentional, if it was nefarious, if it was, cunning, or if it just kind of like happened. But, Paul Westhead won the championship. Was he with the Lakers the next season, or was he out after the championship?
No, I think he got taken out in his second or maybe even third season. I'm pretty sure he was still head coach after winning the championship. And that's when Riley made his move. Yeah. If that's what happened, I don't know.
Yeah. You're right. I imagine then, again, I'm basing this on my assumptions, though. I think you're right. They won the championship, so they had to bring him back. I mean, you can't get rid of a guy after you won the championship. But then in that second year...
Again, mirroring exactly real-life events. The same thing just happened to the Lakers in 2022.
True. So then maybe Pat Riley started to become a little bit more influential. They were struggling in year 2, and they said, look, let's make the change. But in any case, I think that the Jack McKinney storyline for me was very compelling. It's over now. And another thing I hope is over, although I don't think it is Sally Field, right, who plays the mother of Jerry Buss, obviously has some form of dementia.
Correct.
Tragic. But I'm really not keen to see this drag as a focal point of too many other episodes. It could be a side issue, right?
But, or like mentioned in in passing circumstances.
Yeah.
Right? But I mean, this is what I mean. Like, you see a transitioning into the maturity of Jerry Buss by this, right? Because there's that scene in the elevator where Jeannie is kind of struggling with this whole thing. Yeah. And he looks at her and says, like, hey, listen, you got to really man up, right? I mean, for lack of a better word. Yeah. You really got to man up on this and strengthen your, gird your loins, as it were. We need to get through this. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
So that's the McKinney Westhead side. Let's say that's the management side.
That's the dramatic side, right? That's the drama in this show. The more action side, I think, is about Magic and, like you said, his coming to grips with his celebrity-ness, and that's kind of played itself out in two ways. His endorsements and the opportunities he has, and also like what he wants kind of like out of his personal life. Yeah.
Yeah. And you get to see that especially with his... I think the personal side was a little stronger because they kind of... So, in terms of fourth wall breaks, we really only had one this episode. Yeah. And that was when he passes on Phil Knight's offer of $100,000 in stock plus $1 a shoe, which it doesn't sound like a lot, but then, bear in mind, $100,000 back in the 70s... early 80s, worth a hell of a lot more than it is now. And then on top of that, in stock options to Nike, I think the number, I don't know if it was mentioned in the game, in the movie, or if I read it online, but that stock option thing would have been worth $5.1 billion in today's money.
They had it as a graphic in the episode.
Yeah, okay, there you go.
And there's probably a few caveats that would need to be made to that, right? At least one asterisk. And the first is that if, this would be a fun game, if Magic Johnson accepts that offer, right?
Yep.
Michael Jordan goes where?
Oh my God. Exactly.
Michael Jordan goes, they probably don't give the same deal to Michael. Or
a great comment.
Michael goes to Adidas or Converse, right?
Yeah, because Under Armour wasn't around at that time.
Yeah. I think I read somewhere that Jordan actually liked Adidas shoes more. I think
it was in The Last
Yes.
Dance, and then it was his mother
Yes.
who said, listen, you be a good boy, you be a good person and a reasonable person, and they made a nice offer,
Yes.
and they were being very polite.
Yes.
So even if you don't like them, and even if you're going to say no, you go to their offices and you talk to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was really, I mean,
that changes
bless his mother for that,
everything.
Right?
That changes everything.
And not just for him. I think for all of sports, period.
Oh, I mean, especially, if you remember what it was like when we were kids. I mean, now Nike is far and away the market leader. I guess if you're talking about basketball shoes, maybe Under Armour is number 2 in basketball shoes.
And I think Under Armour only because of its super aggressive deals with people like
Curry.
Steph Curry, and I think Kevin Durant, but I'm not sure. Whoever else it is.
I can't even guess in the NBA what shoe, other than a handful of Under Armour folks, is there anyone wearing Adidas shoe? And maybe I'm sure there's someone who's wearing like the Chinese brand Li Ning or something.
Yeah. Like Adidas, I think, has kind of not left. Don't get me wrong; they're still making them, but Adidas has become more of like a lifestyle brand in sneakers now because they do all their collaboration with
the
like
Yeezy. And that's smart. By the way, that's probably a separate episode. Which is Adidas.
Wonderful pivot.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Which is, hey, we're not going to be able to compete with Air Jordans.
Yeah.
We're not going to compete with even, maybe not even with Reebok or Puma, because Puma, by the way, has
Puma's gone.
World of Football. No, but they've got football.
Yeah,
right?
Puma is soccer. Yeah.
All of football.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Reebok has pretty much locked down all of American football, but I'm not sure. Don't hold me to that. But, so most of these sports are not taken up, but not,
and Converse is gone. I mean, I think Converse still exists.
But only, again, as a lifestyle brand.
But who bought Converse? That's a good question.
I don't know.
Including Reebok. Someone has bought Reebok.
Okay.
Reebok's no longer
Probably
independent.
Some New York hedge fund that thought that they could do a better job with it.
No, I think it's another shoe company, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, I mean, the point is, I got us off on this tangent. Let me bring it back. That, yes, had Magic signed with Nike, in theory, he would have $5 billion, but probably not, because a lot of that market value is due to Jordan. Jordan probably doesn't go to Nike, goes to Adidas or maybe even Converse.
Yeah.
Potentially putting the whole basketball footwear world in complete disarray, right?
Yeah. At least the world that we know of it today.
Crazy, yeah.
Yeah, so I agree. It's so funny because they kind of, this is, I think, the perspective that you and I have, which is so unique and maybe not unique, interesting, but at least unique in the sense that, we're kind of finance business guys.
Yeah.
And then it's a throwaway line in the show because for your average fan, it probably is a throwaway line, right? But for us to say, oh my God, $5.1 billion, and then to understand the ramifications of the entire sneaker industry thereafter, it's mind-boggling. For me,
absolutely mind-boggling.
These are the kinds of things that I love about sports movies and sports biopics. And, maybe it's because I'm a finance guy. I like seeing the little nitty-gritty, It's one of the reasons I really love Draft Day with Kevin Costner.
Yeah.
It's also one of the reasons why I like all the, like Moneyball, for example.
Yes.
It's you get to see the number side of it and the finance side of it, which ostensibly is boring to your average viewer. But for me, I love it. I geek out on that stuff.
I mean, I think Phil Knight also deserves a lot of credit. I mean, again, dramatization. But if you look at what Phil Knight was doing versus the Converse guys, right? The Converse guys are like, Magic's like, hey, let's put my name on the shoe. They're kind of like, we'll definitely think about it. Just sign the contract, Whereas Phil is like, hey, I'm going to build this whole thing around you. Look,
Yeah.
You know, and you really see the upstart. I mean, whether that's possible in today's day and age is not clear, but back then, wow, that was just like totally unheard of, right?
It's one of the rare few times in this show where you don't see Magic bet on himself.
Yeah. Yeah. Right? Absolutely true. Yeah, yeah, absolutely right. So actually, let me ask you, who was this confused me. He's got this, not an agent, but kind of like this guy, and then he's dating his daughter. Who's the guy, and who came first, the guy or the daughter? I didn't pick up on this.
I didn't catch it 100% either, but this is Dr. Day, right? Who was like almost like a family friend / advisor, right? And he was, because remember when they were talking about the sneaker deals in the very beginning, he's like, if you can introduce me to some of these lawyers, and he's like, look, they're good for Michigan law. They're not good for, real world law or, real world deals, that kind of thing. Yep. As he kind of props himself up. Yeah. So my understanding was, and, if I got this wrong, listeners, please get in touch with us, aloha at filmsandstuffpodcast.com.
Aloha means hello. Yes. Right.
So my understanding, Ethan, was that he was kind of like a family friend or someone known to the family as an associate. Okay. Who then positioned himself very smartly as his agent / representative. Yeah. Right. And you could see that he was thinking that along the same lines, because when Magic brings up the thing of money, he's like, you don't worry about my fees. We'll worry about that when I make you money, that kind of thing, Yeah. It's the typical smarmy, greasy thing that all agents would say, right? Yeah. And he simultaneously is dating his daughter. So that's where things start to get a little dicey, because his daughter is someone that he likes, but then she's almost like overstepping her bounds. Which is to say, she's getting involved in discussions, as like, and portraying herself to be like almost his wife more than just his girlfriend. And, so she's sitting in on business meetings and saying stuff which, he may not necessarily want to say or agree to say. She's sending flowers to Jack McKinney in Magic's name, even before Magic would even think to do that. I mean, it's not the wrong thing to do, but because he didn't think of doing that. And all the players clocked on to that, right? So they make fun of him. His teammates start making fun of him that, he's whipped and all that kind of thing. And then you have that really interesting moment where he meets Richard Pryor. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And where Richard Pryor kind of says, hey, listen, you're on a level of fame above all of these jackasses on your team. You just don't know it yet. And that means that you need to be extra careful about not just who's handling your money, but who's representing you in your personal life. Mm-hmm. Right? And so he does what I think would be the first savvy thing, right? He breaks up with his agent's daughter. Yeah. But then he gets his agent to do the breaking up for him so that he doesn't have to get his hands dirty. Yeah. I mean, at first, so I've got a few thoughts about this, and I'll go backwards. The first is that I think it was kind of portrayed as like the agent, Dr. Day, was more worried about business than his daughter. But I kind of viewed it as he was like, hey, this guy's not going to be great for my daughter. I love my daughter. This is going to kind of, in the future, she's going to be hurt one way or another because I kind of know this guy. It's probably better that I get her out of this now and I keep the business relationship. It's a win-win, even though my daughter will be hurt. So I really didn't see him as kind of slimy like that. I felt he kind of got what he wanted anyway. And then the second part was, I felt like that young lady, don't know her name, was actually pretty good for him. I mean, I know that it was intended that she be a little bit like aggressive and overbearing, but I thought that she was actually like, in terms of kind of like managing his stuff, like as you said, like taking the flowers is actually a pretty good idea. It kind of backfired
just because of the time that she went. But overall, that's kind of the thing that you want your wife doing, is looking out for you and saying, hey, dude, like, your head's in the clouds. You're focused on basketball. This is the right thing to do. I'm going to get it done to help you out because we're a team, you know, and that's my obligation. So I kind of thought that she was pretty good for Magic. He gets back at the end with Cookie, right? And Cookie was the woman that he married, and I think he's got both of his kids with. So that's, I guess, how that happened, huh?
Right. I thought that was it was an interesting insight into what we can kind of expect to see in terms of maybe his personal life and how he treats the people around him. And I'm not saying good thing or bad thing. I'm just saying, you know, these are things that happen, right?
Yeah.
So no judgment there, or no, you know, qualification necessary there.
Yeah. I thought one thing that was very interesting was they had this scene where they were all at the Forum Club. And I think that's when we saw Richard Pryor the first time, although he wasn't introduced on the screen until like a different scene. But like the bunch of Lakers, right? You saw Norm Nixon there. You saw Spencer Haywood. You saw Kareem and his wife / girlfriend. I mean, I don't know if that's historically correct, but to me, that was a really cool scene that all those teammates were out with their wives and girlfriends, all kind of like hanging out. That just seemed, for me, like such a sincere, cool scene. You know, it doesn't seem like that's something that happens anymore. Now everyone's kind of got their crew, their posse, their team, right? And they all kind of go out their own separate ways, you know? And back then, I guess it was different. Like, hey, we're all like teammates. We're buddies. Like, you know, even before this, we saw, you know, Magic and Norm Nixon go out together. Yeah, Norm was a little bit difficult and so forth. But like, it was just kind of cool. Like, it was like really like coworkers or a fraternity back then. I really like that. And I don't feel like that's something that I mean, I can't even imagine like the last story I've heard about like multiple teammates out together. You know, there's always like one dude getting in trouble, but you never hear of like teammates together like getting in trouble, right?
Or rarely these days.
Yeah, because no one hangs out anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I think that posse culture, or you know, my boys, my crew culture has kind of has become more dominant now. Yeah. I think the last time I can think of that would have been like, again, late 90s, at most late 90s, early 2000s. You know, where you heard about like these stories where like Allen Iverson and the Sixers and the crew were going out and, you know, partying in the clubs. And I think that was, or, you know, all the guys from the Knicks were hanging out and going clubbing in New York and things like that. I think that was pretty much the last time.
Like, I would also say, even celebrities, like back then it was the Rat Pack, right? It was Sammy Davis Jr. It was
Frank Sinatra.
I don't think Richard Pryor was part of that. Was he? I think he came after that. Or was he part of it?
I think he was after.
So, I mean, but that was cool. Like, there was a Hollywood fraternity of big people, you know, like, hey, we're all, you know, like, stars, A-list. We're all going out together. That's cool. Does that happen anymore? You know,
you had the Frat Pack, right? You had Will Ferrell and Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson.
Did they go out together?
This is the early 2000s. Then you had God, I hate this name so much. You had the posse that Leonardo DiCaprio had, you know? I don't
Tobey
even want to say the
Maguire.
name.
Yeah.
Tobey Maguire and all of them, they went out.
Yeah.
I guess looking for women.
Yeah.
So you had a couple of these.
We need those, because especially if it's women, right? I mean, it used to be Paris Hilton and some other folks would like, you know, hit the town together, right? But I mean, like, it's so powerful when like a few celebrities team up and do stuff together. We've seen this. I thought there was like a couple years ago at like the US Open, there was Timberlake and the dude who hosts the Tonight Show. And there was also, I thought it was two other guys. Who's the guy in like Olympus Has Fallen?
Gerard Butler.
Gerard Butler, and was it who's the guy in A Star Is Born? My God, I'm not remembering anyone today.
Oh, Bradley Cooper.
Yeah, wasn't it Bradley Cooper? Those two? Or
Yeah,
like
I'm sure. Yeah, you
Right?
always see celebrities together like that, right? You saw Cumberbatch was there with
Yes.
whoever. I mean, there's
Natalie
always
Portman,
some celebrity coupling. There's always one or two celebrity couples.
But couples,
and by
not
couples, I mean
but yes,
no,
but not
I mean
not
couple
dudes.
friends, right? Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
when you see like two dudes hanging out, like Hollywood celebrity friends, it's so rare. Everyone like usually just goes their own separate way, right? You see like,
Yeah.
there's Robert Downey Jr. at the U.S. Open. There's this guy at this, right? It's rarely, hey, Robert Downey Jr. and, Chris Evans are hanging out together. You rarely see like two celebrities at the same time, which I think makes it so cool if like, there should be like an app just for celebrities to like hang out together, right?
And for all the celebrities who are listening, by the way, we are available to be a part of your posses.
We're super fun.
We are super fun. We bring so
And
much to the table.
And discreet.
Incredibly discreet. Now, excuse me while I tweet this to my millions of followers.
Did you ever hear the Rob Lowe interview where Rob Lowe is like, I don't even know why you'd want to be a celebrity today. He's like, everything that I used to do in the 80s when I was a celebrity, I didn't want anyone to know about. Now everything is like,
that's because he was doing creepy
he's
stuff,
like, now
right?
everything is like tweeted and Instagrammed, and it's all like, even that statement is so great. I love it. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's really funny. It's really funny. But
So-
yeah,
so
I think that'll
I-
probably actually that could be another episode that we can talk about.
Yeah.
Celebrity friends that we should be a part of.
Celebrity
Posse.
bros. Yeah. So Lakers are obviously, I think they're now establishing that culture. We didn't really see anything on the Laker girls. There's no Paula Abdul featured in this episode, but I think the point has been made that Laker games are now kind of like a go-to Hollywood event. It seems like there's still a little bit of like cajoling, right? They showed Jack Nicholson and kind of like, hey, I had to give him season tickets to get involved. But like, obviously, like more and more of the Lakers are being accepted. The Forum Club seems to be, jumping. Like they seem to have established themselves as an exciting, entertainment event to attend. So that's kind of cool to see. And I think that over the course of a few episodes, we've seen, how, the bus vision has really made that happen.
Yeah, it's coming together under his stewardship.
Yeah. Yep. So I'm not sure where this goes in the next episode. I mean, like I said, I hope that they minimize Ramsey. I imagine that Magic is going to continue to flex his celebrity muscle. We haven't heard from Kareem a lot this episode. And we haven't heard actually from a lot of the other like fringe Laker players. So there may be a little bit more focus on them. We know that Pat Riley is going to make a move. They did mention also, remember their announcer's name is Chick Hearn, who is an announcer, I think like until like very recently, actually. All these Los Angeles dudes, him, Vin Scully, they were just like announcers for like 30, 40 years. But did you catch the line where Pat Riley said like, oh, like he was choking on his vodka and so I had to take over for a few minutes.
I missed that. Or at least I missed the significance of that.
He apparently Chick had, I don't want to say he had an alcohol problem, but he was known, like all these old announcers, Harry Carey for the Cubs, they were known to like imbibe, right?
Partake while on duty. Exactly.
While on duty. Yeah. And Riley mentioned it when he was talking to Jason Segel, Paul Westhead, and saying like, I had to go from being the apprentice, to the main guy last game, when Chick choked on his vodka.
Yeah. So funny.
So let's see what Winning Time's got in store. Let's see if we can't get you from reading those terms and conditions to finally putting down your platinum card and subscribing for HBO Max. I'm already there. super happy with the show. And I think, as we mentioned, it's really the behind the scenes details, which I think are so compelling.
I agree.
Listeners, thank you for joining us for Recap Winning Time Episode 6. We will see you next week. Pete, always a pleasure.
Thanks, Ethan.
Take care, everyone. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Films and Stuff. If you haven't already, please subscribe and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever podcasts are downloaded. Films and Stuff. There is no substitute.